So, hi everyone. It's Tim from WatchWord, and I'm really delighted to be joined today by Ed from the Watch Collectors Club to talk about the favorite watch in his collection. So, without further ado, let's kick it off, Ed. So, name that watch.
So I've gone for a classic watch I'd enjoyed my collection, which is a Audemars Piguet Royal Oak. But actually, it's a bit of a different one. So it is a dual time Royal Oak, but it's a dual time Royal Oak with a power reserve. And even more interestingly, it's actually in steel and yellow gold. So it's a interesting journey, actually. I've been collecting watches for a really long time. Well, actually, like many people, I was an accidental collector. But for me, the Royal Oak was the perfect watch, and it was one that I aspired to own at some stage in my life. And a variety of things happened about 10 years ago. That meant I had a little bit more money than I usually did. So there was inheritance, there was redundancy, there was saving pretty hard. And I finally made the jump to buy one. It was more expensive than I was hoping it would be. I'd been watching them for years, and as with many things, it had gone up in price quite a lot in that time. So probably tripled in price from when I first started to seriously look at one to when I actually ended up buying one. But I bought it from the Watchfinder, and for followers of the Watch Collectors Club, you'll know that we held an event at the watch at the less than half price of a new one, perfect condition, recently been serviced. It came with a long warranty. Yeah, and I did that classic thing of a bit of interest-free finance and a bit of cash.
Yeah, very
And I
good.
remember buying it, and it was it was the biggest thing I'd ever purchased. And I remember going in determined that I was going to buy it. And even as I was putting my card into the card reader, I was thinking, oh, should I be doing this? The second I paid for it, put it on my wrist and walked out the store, I both forgot how much it cost and realized that I'd properly fallen in love with a small metal mechanical object.
I was going to say, can you pay for it on cards? Did you have to wire transfer it or something?
Yeah. But then then certainly you could I had to call my bank in advance just to let them know that I was making this transaction.
I remember doing that with my car. It was very stressful. Okay, so let's get on to the watch's details. So, what's your favorite sort of thing or detail about the
Down
watch?
to anything, it is the finishing across the watch. So when you first pick up a Royal Oak, they're quite different to how they photograph. They've got so many different facets with different finishes. So the little links, which are gold on this, or the little rivets between the links, I should say, gold. They've got three different finishes on them: straight brushed, um, horizontally brushed, and then highly polished. Along the edge of the bracelet, you've got a chamfered high polished edge, along with the flat matte polishing, and then that sort of follows around the case where you've got all these different angles with all these different finishes. So the watch actually catches the light in any angle, and from every angle, and I really find it like exciting to look at and to find new angles.
No, definitely. When you let me try it on the other day, it wasn't just the dial that you were drawn to. It was very much almost like an angle here, an angle there, and the way it caught the light. It was very impressive. Are there other things you like about it? I mean, I particularly like the crown when you showed it to me as well.
Yeah, I mean, the list could go on. I mean, the thing actually that I keep coming back to, and it's starting to inform my collection now, is I really like bimetal watches.
Hmm.
They've been in and out of fashion, and they're very much in fashion at the moment. But I've had this watch for 8.5 years now, and at the time, I remember buying it. Everyone say, "Why on earth have you bought steel and gold watch?" And for me, it was a great combination of steel being sort of sporty and practical, but gold being a little bit flashy and dressy. And so it's a great way of dressing up a casual outfit or bringing a bit of sort of sparkle to your everyday life. The color of the gold itself is really nice. It's sort of muted yellow, and particularly because I've been wearing it. I mean, I wear it most days. It's picked up lots of scuffs, so the gold has really muted and softened. Take a lot of joy looking at are the it's a grey tapisserie dial. So the dial is really beautiful, multi-dimensional. There's lots of different levels to it with the different subdials, the applied indices. But for me, it's the grey. That's just a really beautiful tone. It offsets the steel really nicely. It warms up the steel, and it cools down the gold. I just think it's a really neat color.
No, no, like I said, it was really, really impressive. And I even like the case back. I know it's not an open case back, but just like the lettering and the font and just how it looked, that was really good too.
Yeah, that's a good question. I would I change anything? With many modern bracelets, you get these sort of micro adjustments to the clasp, which mean that when you're hot, you can just loosen it a little bit. No such thing with this. You've got to add an additional link in. Yeah, really good question. No, actually, for me, it was very much the watch itself. So the Royal Oak is sort of much copied. Partly it's the fact that it's a Audemars Piguet that they can spend the money and great watches that feel like that, and then sell them for the money that they need to be able to do that. But for me, it's not so much the brand; it is absolutely the watch itself.
Cool, no, brilliant. You know me, I quite like my Omegas, so often it is the brand, but yeah, sometimes it is the watch itself as well. I mean, when you wear it, like, how does it make you feel? I often ask that question as well because putting on a watch, it's more than just jewelry. It gives you a sense of something. So just like I said, when you said you wear it sort of daily, but how does it make you feel when you wear the watch?
Yeah, well, I guess with the rising crime rates for watch thefts in London, unsafe. But no, joking aside, I'm not that careful about where I wear it. To be honest, I do wear it pretty much every day. It hugs the wrist really nicely. It fits under any shirt, any jacket, without feeling like it's really flash, and without feeling like it's anything other than a joy to wear. Interestingly, also the shape of the case and the sort of integration of the lugs into the bracelet that it really hangs onto your wrist. It doesn't sort of slop around. So sometimes see lots of special occasions. My engagement, so it was getting rained on in the Isle of Skye, and it's seen a wedding, not mine yet. It's seen funerals. It's seen births. It's seen successes and failures at work. Sort of been there with me the whole time, and it's got the scratches to prove it. I think the other thing I feel most sort of regularly when I wear it is that it's often really worth waiting for something that you really want. Waiting for that perfect thing.
Absolutely. We're all addicts here as well, trying to fill the void. So there we go. And I suppose finally for me, I was going to ask you, why should people own this watch?
They are really remarkable pieces of engineering. If you take the movement aside, just the case, the bracelet, everything about this sort of design classic make it worth owning. But I think it's also worth owning for what it represents, which was, I think, for me, two things. One, that sports watches can be luxury, and they're probably the most popular sub-segment of watches now, luxury sports watches. But actually, second, that having a bit of steel and gold mixed together is a really fun way of having a great watch that fits every occasion and is frankly quite different to what you would normally see.
Brilliant. No, thanks, Ed. And like I said, with WatchWord, we're talking to people about their favorite watch in their collection, and we just want to raise those stories. But I just want a brief word with the Watch Collectors Club. I'm a member, and I've been to many, and it's a great thing to join and just to check out. It's really chilled out and relaxed, and they also do great boutique events as well. But I don't know, Ed, just a final word for you, just if you want to give more of a shout out to it as well. So that the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, so the Watch Collectors Club is an events and education business, and the idea is that we want to make the watch world simple, accessible, and enjoyable for as many people as we possibly can. So we run in-person and virtual events every week. At the moment, we're focused on London for in-person events, and globally for online events. We've had attendees from New York on their lunch break, from Jeddah in the evening, from Dubai first thing in the morning, as well as the even more exotic Glasgow and Edinburgh. But really, what we're trying to build is a community of people who love watches and love to learn about them. And so, if that sounds something that you'd be interested in, I'm sure Tim will provide the link for you to sign up and come to some of our events.
Brilliant. And again, it's Instagram, and there are other things as well, I think, on social media you can find. Brilliant. Wonderful. Thanks, Ed. That's fantastic. Cool.